All right, Algebraic Reasoning Unit 3-1 test tomorrow, 11/15/2018. Over function operations. So here, we're going to start here. So this is giving me, so remember, f of x equals y. So when it's inside my parentheses, it's giving me x. So x equals -6. This is my x-axis. So x is -6 here. And I have to see which point is at that, where that point is, at what height. So that's at a -6. So -6 is that point. Okay, when x equals -2, here it's at a height of +2. X equals 0, here, that's at a height of 6. When x equals 4, that's at a height of -2. Okay, so again, same thing, different graph. X equals 0 here, that's at a height of -5. X equals 2 here, that's at a height of -2. X equals 1, that's here, at a height of -4. And x equals 4 here. Woo. Make sure you pay really close attention because it looks really close there, but it's actually here at 10. Alright? So remember, I'm given x, so I'm finding the height. Given x, finding the height, the y. Okay? So now look at number 3 and 4. These are different. I'm given the height, the y. Oh, height, the y. So I'm looking for the width, the how far to which side. Okay, so here y equals -1. Okay, so y is -1. This is my y-axis. So y is -1 here. If you notice, it touches twice, so be careful, at 1 and at 5. So here y is -5, which is here, which touches once at 3. And here we're at y is 11, and that's at -1 and 7. Okay, so again, y equals 6. Height of 6 is here, and that is over -8. Height of 0 is over 4, and a height of -2 is over +8. Okay, so again, given the height, the y, and I'm looking for how far over which side, the width. Okay. So these are asking for the same thing, except you're going to use your calculator. So I like to do this one equation at a time. So I'm going to do my f of x equation first. Y equals negative, alpha y equals enter, 1/2 x plus 3. And I'm going to find which equations have f of x. So this has f, and this has f. So I'm going to use those two equations. So this is telling me it's inside the parentheses. So x equals -4. So I'm going to find x is -4, look in the x column, and my answer is 5. Now this one is telling me y equals 7, so I'm looking for what x equals. So if you keep scrolling, there's 7, so x equals -8. So now we're going to do our g of x equation. Now be careful, the house is only over the x, not the +2, the radical. So x, go out from underneath, +2, go to my table. I'm looking for which ones have g. This has g, and this has g, okay? Now, I know it says error a bunch of times, and that's totally okay. Go to where I'm looking. So this is x equals 9. So let's go to x is 9. Okay, that is 5. Now this is telling me y equals 8. So let's keep scrolling. 8, so x equals 36. So be careful. I know it says error, and that's okay. It's because you can't do the square root of a negative, but it still works, I promise. Okay, last but not least, we're going to do the h equation. X squared minus 4. Go to my table. So I'm looking for these two. So this is where y equals 32. This is where x equals negative 1. So scrolling back up. So here's where y is 32. So that's where x equals 6. And h of negative 1 is negative 3. Okay? Now I have to be careful because this is a quadratic. So if you notice, it's also negative 6. Alright, let's flip to the next page. Okay, so this gives me, given the graph of f of x is negative 1/2 x plus 4 and 2x minus 6. Now, I could do this, like number 1 through 4, but, guys, I'm given the equation. Let's use it. Negative 1/2 x plus 4, and I'm given 2x minus 6. So I'm going to label. I put this in y1 and this in y2, and then I'm asking for the sum. That means add. So I'm going to do my y-vars. Vars, y-vars, function y1 plus vars, y-vars, function y2. And this is going to do all of it for me. So we can start at negative 2 like it asks. Oop, there we go. So I have 5, 9 over 2, 4, 7 over 2, 3, 5 over 2, negative 10, negative 8, negative 6, negative 4, negative 2, 0, and then scroll over to y3. Negative 5, negative 7 over 2, negative 2, negative 1/2, 1, and 5 over 2. Now I could always check my work. 5 plus negative 10 does give me negative 5. 9 over 2 plus negative 8 does give me negative 7 over 2, and so forth. So we could always check our work, but the calculator does it for me. Now, it also says graph h of x. So I have to graph these points. I'm just going to worry about the pretty points. Negative 2, negative 5, negative 2, negative 5, 0, negative 2, and 2, 1. So I'm just going to sketch this line from here. There is h of x. Okay. Now if I wanted to keep plotting, I can realize this goes up 3 over 2, up 3 over 2. Hey, look, my line's pretty spot on. Down 3 over 2. Okay. Alright, let's look at number 12. So this is to find the difference. That means subtract. Okay, so again, calculator is going to do it for me. X squared minus 6x plus 5, negative x plus 6, and then I just need to make that say y1 minus y2. Okay, and I'm going to go back to my table and just fill it in. 21, 12, 5, 0, negative 3, negative 4, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 13, 5, negative 1, negative 5, negative 7, negative 7. Now if you notice, this is a quadratic, and I need to graph it. So I can plot those points. So I have negative 1, 5, 0, negative 1, 1, negative 5, 2, negative 7, 3, negative 7, 4, negative 5, 5, negative 1. Well, I'm missing something here. I skipped a point. 0, negative 1, sorry, not positive 1. And then 6, 5. So here's my h of x. Now remember I said don't worry about these, because that was my mess up. I changed the equation and didn't change those. We already practiced that on the front. So let's keep on keeping on. So this says, given f of x and g of x, find h of x, which equals f of x plus g of x. So on both of these I'm adding. Use your graphing calculator to check either graphically or tabularly, okay, which is the graph or table. So I'm going to take f of x plus g of x. So I'm literally going to do negative 3x plus 4 plus 1/2 x minus 3. So I'm going to find my like terms. So this has an x, and this has an x. This has nothing, and this has nothing. Okay, so negative 3x plus a half x. So I can't type the x here, but I can do the other part without the x. I just have to remember to put it back. So it's negative 5 over 2, and then 4 minus 3 is positive 1. Okay, now negative 5 over 2, just in case you wrote this different, negative 5 divided by 2 is just negative 2.5. So this is the same thing as saying negative 2.5 x plus 1. So this is what your h of x equals. Okay, so if I were to do it again, I'm just going to do f of x plus g of x and combine like terms. So I have my x squared, there's no other x squareds. I have a positive x, there's no other x. And then I have this 1 and 2. So I'm going to bring down my x squared. I'm going to bring down my x, and then 1 plus 2 is just positive 3. So there is my answer. Ooh, sorry, you couldn't even see that. Okay, so I just brought down my x squared, brought down my plus x, and then combined those two. Now, if you found this in a different order, that's totally fine. Now I'm going to go ahead and check both of these. So, f of x, negative 3x plus 4. G of x is 1/2 x minus 3. And I'm adding them, and I came up with negative 2.5 x plus 1. Second graph, I want to see that y3 and y4 match. So if you notice, some of them are decimals and some of them are fractions, and that's totally okay, but they do match. Okay, so this one has been checked, but that's how you'll check these. Okay, so I'll check this one too. X squared plus 1, x plus 2. Adding them, and we came up with x squared plus x plus 3. See that y3 and y4 match? And they do, so we checked this one and it is correct. So I like to check tabularly. Alright, given f of x is 2x minus 1 and g of x is x plus 2, find h of x equals f of x minus g of x. Use your graphing calculator to check your work. So we're going to do 2x minus 1 minus, now remember, we're going to subtract the whole thing. Okay, we have to give this negative to everything on the inside. So I have 2x minus 1, negative x, negative and positive make a negative 2. And now I'm going to combine like terms. So I have 2x and negative x, and I have negative 1, negative 2. So 2x minus x, remember I can't type the x in the calculator, but 2 minus, that's just 1x, so it's 1x, because this is the same thing as writing that. So 2 minus 1 is 1. And then negative 1 minus 2, so if you have troubles with that, negative 1 minus 2 is negative 3. So here is my h of x. And again, we can check it the same way in our calculator. 2x minus 1, x plus 2, and now I'm subtracting, and I came up with 1x minus 3. Second graph. So make sure y3 and y4 match, and they do, so I am correct. Now again, this is just the same thing. Okay, so f of x minus g of x, that's what it's asking for. So x squared minus 3x plus 2 minus this whole thing, negative x squared minus x plus 6. So I have to give the negative to everything. I'm going to bring down right now. Remember, this first one always stays the same. It should never change, just like it did here. Okay? So 2 negatives makes it positive. Again, 2 negatives makes a positive. A negative and a positive make a negative. So now we'll find our like terms. X squared plus x squared, negative 3x plus x, and just our 2 and negative 6. So x squared plus x squared, remember it's just 1x squared plus 1x squared is 2x squared. Negative 3x plus x, so if we have our time, negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2. Just don't forget to put our x back. And 2 minus 6, 2 minus 6 is negative 4. That is my answer. Okay, so I need to check it. X squared minus 3x plus 2, negative x squared minus x plus 6, and this time we were multiplying, subtracting still, haha, just kidding, and right what I came up with, 2x squared minus 2x minus 4, second graph, so y3 and y4 match, so this is correct. Now we're getting into the multiplying, okay, remember the dot means multiply. Okay, and these are a little different to check, and really in general they're different. Okay, so given f of x and g of x, we're going to multiply f of x times g of x to find our h of x. Okay, so we have 3 minus x. When we multiply, we put them both in parentheses, and we do FOIL, first, outer, inner, last, or we call it double distribution, because I'm going to distribute 3 times x, which is just the same as saying 1x. So 3 times 1 is 3. And I multiplied x once, so I'm just going to bring down 1x. 3 times negative 1, there's no x's, so I don't have to worry about that. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. And then I'm going to distribute again. This is why we call it double distribution. I distributed the 3, now I'm distributing the negative x. Negative, so they remember, this is the same thing as saying negative 1. So negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. X times x, that's x multiplied twice. Remember, that's what exponents mean, is how many times it's multiplied. Okay, and then negative 1 times negative 1, well, 2 negatives makes a positive, and they only multiplied x once, so it's just 1x. And now we'd combine our like terms. So we have 3x, and we have positive 1x, and we have negative 1x squared, and we have a positive 3, or negative 3, sorry. So I'm going to bring down my negative 1x squared. 3x plus x is positive 4x. And bring down my minus 3. Oop, this is my h of x. So to check this, it's a little different. I'm going to type in my f of x, type in my g of x, and I'm going to type in the equation I got, negative 1x squared plus 4x minus 3. I go to my table, 0, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, 0, negative 1, 0, 1, 2, and I'm going to see if it matches. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3, 2 times 0 is 0, 1 times 1 is 1, 0 times 2 is 0. So let's see, negative 3, 0, 1, 0. It's correct. Oh, sorry. So again, x squared plus 1, x plus 2, okay, sorry, my mom is texting me. Okay, so again, I have x squared times x squared x, that's multiplying x 3 times. X squared times 2 is 2x squared, because there's no x's and that was x squared. Okay, 1 times x is just 1x. 1 times 2 is just 2. Okay, any like terms? I don't have any like terms, so that is my h of x. So again, type in my calculator. Okay, let's do the same thing we just did. It doesn't matter which x's you put here, guys. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 5, 10, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 times 2 is 2, 2 times 3 is 6, 5 times 4 is 20, 10 times 5 is 50. Let's see if it worked. 2, 6, 20, 50. Matches. We did it right. Okay, last one. 2x plus 3 times 2x minus 3. So we have, distribute the first time, 2x times 2x. 2 times 2 is 4. X times x is x squared. 2 times negative 3. 2 times negative 3, or 2x times negative 3, sorry. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. I multiplied x once. Okay. 3 times 2x is positive 6 with 1x being multiplied. And 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. So combine like terms. These two are my like terms, and they cancel. So I bring down my 4x squared and my minus 9, and there is my answer. So last one to check in the calculator. 2x plus 3, 2x minus 3, 4x squared minus 9. Second graph. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 3, 5, 7, 9, negative 3, negative 1, 1, 3. 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. 5 times negative 1 is negative 5. 7 times 1 is 7. 9 times 3 is 27. Now, if you don't know these, guys, you can do it in the calculator on your home screen. 3 times negative 3. Okay, it'll tell you. So let's check our y3. Negative 9, negative 5, 7, 27. That's right. And we're done. If y'all have questions, guys, bring them to me at the beginning of class tomorrow, and I will answer any questions you have right before the test. Be on time so you have as much time as you need during your test. Y'all can do great. I know you can. Let me know if you have any questions.